on what do we change, how do we improve, that it paid off.
Gotta have that drive here. Let's go to Battleground number 1. The best of 5 series is Team Liquid and Dignitas will be facing off. And we talked about 2 Spider Queen a little bit in the last series. We're getting it for game number 1. Dignitas with the choice of map.
And Dignitas also banning out Brexis, which is a map that they banned out consistently throughout the entire Part 1. So at this point we have a slight switch up on the side of Team Liquid. Team Liquid, when it comes to map bans, they have mainly banned out Brexis. They've also banned out Infernal. This is the first time that they banned out Sky Temple. And that shows me a bit that they probably adjusted to the meta slightly. They probably took a closer look, okay, which maps do we really want to play? Which maps did we struggle so far? Do we need to change something? And that's the result here, that they're saying, okay, we are taking Sky Temple away.
So in a Sky Temple we go, the name of the game, all about that wave clear and trying to find a couple of picks, get those turn-ins, and try to get that double turn-in rolling your way.
Yeah, because coming back to Sky Temple, it's actually the map where they haven't won once. They played twice, they lost both of those games. It was pretty devastating for them, so they're just trying to shake it up a bit. But that's also something where a team could come in at some point and try and exploit that and just pick the maps that in the past were banned out by Team Liquid. And that's, for example, Infernal Shrines. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dignitas later on, if they have the map choice, bring us to Infernal Shrines, especially considering that they themselves have a 3-0 track record there.
Now, as we head in this match, I'm actually kind of wondering how Chromie will land here between these two teams. Both have great Chromie players. Poik on the left side here for Team Dignitas on the right. Nurok loves Chromie on this battleground in particular, so she will be a part of this draft. I'm just kind of curious whether it'll be a straight-up pick or if it'll be a ban.
Yeah, it's also, we have Tracer banned out immediately, and that of course makes a lot of sense against Team Dignitas in particular, and Medivh is banned out now as well. So, a slight different priority from what we've seen in our previous series, where Zealots got away with picking Medivh over and over again, and Diamond Skin not reacting to it. Now, with the improved version of Medivh, we just heard from AD already that he feels Medivh is even stronger than before. Team Liquid and Dignitas are not taking any chances here. But that leaves Maiev open.
Yeah, that it does. And Maiev gets picked up right away. So Maiev going over to Team Liquid, our first Maiev of today here in the HGC Europe. Team Dignitas, how will you answer said pick? A lot of heroes that we've been seeing mixed in to try and deal with the Maiev has been Arthas, double Arthas with Avatar Ultimate Evolution, and even a Johanna. Pretty simple when it comes to the Iron Skin and being able to handle that tether that comes out.
Also, Malfurion is something that I'm really looking on towards on the side of Dignitas. 11-1 on Malfurion in the regular season, and Xaylia just excels on that hero. So many re-engages in fights that he initiated where he was able to turn a defeat in a team fight into a victory, so it's really impressive. And on this map, Malfurion excels even more since he has that interrupt potential against any kind of turn-in. So if you go for Malfurion here, who do you combo that off with? Do you go for Genji? And yes, they do. So we have Malfurion, and Genji is taken, as we already have, of course, Tracer banned out. So pretty obvious choice for them. Could have gone into a frontliner, I suppose, but Genji here is allowing them these quick rotations between the lanes so that they can put especially a lot of pressure onto the solo lane.
Yeah, that bottom lane. Genji coming there for Snitch, Malfurion for Xaylia, Team Liquid. Kind of curious what they're going to follow whip into. Typically, you're trying to find a warrior that allows for you to follow up on the tether that comes in from Maiev when she pulls the target in. Typically, it's an ETC, but we've seen a Nubrax well in the past, or even just an Arthas, someone that can get onto that front line and try to lock down the target. So I want to know if they're going to grab that tank here now, or if they're going to wait till later on. Also, I want to know if they're going to mix, we mixed in Chromie a little bit earlier. I wonder if Chromie's even going to be in this draft now with Maiev coming online here, with the Genji jumping on the back line. I wonder if those two actually have synergy. I haven't played much with it.
Yeah, Maiev and Genji can of course put a lot of pressure on, but here we have again Stukov. So Stukov and Garrosh, both of them taken pretty quickly by Team Liquid here. And it just highlights, once again, how much of an impact Shad and Zealots had with their Stukov play at the Western Clash. Everybody is looking towards that hero now. We've seen him a lot in the Eastern scene. We've seen him, of course, even more so emerge in the Western meta. And a lot of that was initiated by the Zealots. Same is also true for Garrosh.
So the Garrosh and the Stukov combo, Maiev, this is looking pretty deadly already. A lot of displacement already here for Team Liquid. If they can catch anyone from Dignitas overstepping, target's probably dead. Dignitas, what are you thinking about in terms of a ban for them here?
I mean, they can still start and ban out one of the solo lanes, for example. There's also still, there's no real range damage available on the side of Team Liquid, so you have to ask yourself, is Gul'dan, for example, they actually hover him right now, is that a ban that you want to highlight? They could try and pick him themselves, but we've seen Hazops, for example, a lot on Gul'dan. They've also put Nurok on Gul'dan. They have a lot of overlap when it comes to that hero. And right now, it seems with all the wave clear that he provides, with also the Horrify against Genji, they want to make sure that he is not the game changer. So Gul'dan is a very good, and I think also the obvious pick in this situation.
Okay, Gul'dan has been banned out. Team Liquid thinking about their choices as well. I'm starting to think about Hasuabs and his pickup. Is he the one to be playing Maiev here, or do you think it'll be Nurok? Because if it's Maiev left, or if it's Hasuabs still left here, I could see Tychus possibly getting moved into. I could even see where we get that Greymane.
I mean, Liquid in general had always quite a bit of hero overlap, which allows some flexibility in the draft.
Sure.
In the setup here, I would expect Hazops to be on the range damage dealer and not on Maiev. So they can still swap that around a bit depending on the situation, but I would definitely expect him to be on range.
Team Liquid still thinking about their ban here. Obvious pickups that you can move into, the Johanna we mentioned earlier, if you want to make sure that Maiev has an easier time getting into the front line, because you can even kill down a warrior if Maiev gets that catch. Team Liquid still thinking about this here. Johanna natural on this battleground too, thanks to wave clear.
I mean, there's a couple of things you can ban out. You can target the front line, as you said. In this case, they're banning out Chromie. Even a ban on Li Ming would have not been crazy, considering that there's Genji already on their side, and if you go for a double reset composition, that can be really scary. Chromie doesn't accelerate or extend the map quite as well. Sorry, Li Ming doesn't do that quite as well as other heroes, but we've seen her a lot here. When you have these team fights snowball and start with the initial kill, and then Genji and Li Ming get a reset, then you can lead to a complete team wipe. And we've seen all these flanks coming in against low HP targets too, of course.
Yeah, typically taking out burst as well against the Garrosh can be a pretty strong maneuver in the bans, and that Chromie really does fit there. Blaze and Junkrat coming out for Dignitas. We talked about it in our first series, but Junkrat, pretty popular in Europe thanks to a little fella by the name of Snitch. And Junkrat comes out, so I'm actually kind of curious here. Will we get Poik on the Genji instead now?
Yeah, we could definitely. I mean, they've actually played both of these heroes already, so it depends on their comfort level. But normally when we have Junkrat, Snitch plays him a ton, so they still can play both of the heroes. But I would expect Snitch to be on Junkrat here and Poik on Genji, but it could be vice versa. So we've seen both. Blaze, of course, can still be played as the main tank here, can be played on the solo lane too. We've seen especially Dignitas make that swap from Blaze into the main tank position as one of the first teams. And now Hanzo on the side of Team Liquid and Sonya. Pretty scary draft on their end.
Yeah, a lot of upfront damage too. They find their picks, they get the kills. Sonya Poison Spear, Garrosh Flip, Maiev into the engage. It's actually kind of terrifying.
Yeah, if you look at the bans that we have now with especially Medivh coming into the mix, the entire ban pattern that we've seen at the Western Clash and also in our first series broken. Maiev making it through, and she's not the only one. All of a sudden you have Genji, you have Hanzo in the draft, you see Sonya, which is absolutely scary, the powerhouse of Stukov together with Garrosh. The draft that Liquid has is absolutely frightening if they get combos off, especially a Warden Cage with Stukov Silence, and then of course Hanzo coming in, Sonya coming into play here. But Dignitas themselves, they also have really good heroes. Genji on this map is fantastic. We now see Johanna, we highlighted her a bit earlier, and we all know, of course, that JPL loves to play her. She adds more wave clear to the map, so good setup for both teams.
That it is. I think I actually like Team Liquid's a little bit more. Decent wave clear, but mostly their kill potential. But Dignitas on their side, they have a lot of heroes here that we've seen them be successful with, so it's kind of hard to count them out.
The aggression level that we see on the side of Team Liquid is definitely higher. They have so much potential to be aggressive with these combos that they are using here. But then again, you have Bunker also, you have the blinds on Johanna. There's a lot of tools that Dignitas has to mitigate all of that. But I can't wait to see this. Both of the teams have talked a lot about meta. And especially Hazops when I talked to him, he told me that they feel they figured it out. They feel they're in a really good spot.
Sure.
But they also said it's weird because they haven't played against Dignitas for so long, since Dignitas, of course, went to the Western Clash, so didn't really play since then. Then Dignitas, coming from the Western Clash, knew that they had to face Liquid next. So they don't know where Dignitas is right now, and they don't know if their own idea of the meta is really the correct one.
Sure.
So that makes these early games just so interesting, because you will see both of the teams getting a bit of a reality check. Is our approach the right one? Can we follow this up, or do we have to adjust our draft into game number 2, game number 3?
It's almost a small dose of what we see at the Western Clash and the Eastern Clash. North America hitting Europe, right? And watching those two clash together and trying to figure out what the best heroes are to pick up. Yeah, super mini version. But let's go ahead and hop into it. Team Dignitas and Team Liquid facing off game number 1, Tuma Spider Queen.
And all the way to the left, we have JPL on Johanna for Team Dignitas. We're seeing Wooby on Blaze, Poik on Junkrat, meaning that Snitch switches over to Genji, and Zelia, of course, on Malfurion.
On the right side, in the red, Eternal playing Sonya, Hasuabs on Hanzu, Sport Billy on Garrosh, Splendor on Stukov, and Nurok playing My Ev. And gosh, those are names that I have not said in a long time, it feels like.
Yeah, and again, we have to highlight the track record of Team Dignitas in the regular season in Europe. They finished the first part of Phase 1 with 19 map wins and only 4 map losses. 11-1 with Malfurion, 8-1 with Blaze. These guys are absolutely insane. So it's absolutely a pleasure to just like see him play here again, and I want to see how Liquid can perform. This is more so my question mark than how Dignitas. I expect great things from Dignitas, and I think this is the standard to we all hold them right now, which of course puts some pressure on them. We heard it from Zelia earlier on, but I really want to see what can Liquid do. How strong is Liquid right now? Are they going to be a contender for the mid-season brawl, or are they going to fall short here?
Well, Sport Billy already opening up with a little bit of engagement, trying to get that Junkrat, but Junkrat able to escape. No follow-up from Team Liquid as they look to clear out the minion waves that Dignitas is already prioritizing. Nurok taking a lot of harassment here in the middle lane, though. Has to be careful as Dignitas looks to open up the map. They are already ahead here in the wave clear.
But he also puts the pressure onto Genji, and that's really important in the setup that they're running here. And talking about Genji, Genji is actually one of the less successful heroes for Dignitas when it comes to the regular season within Europe. Only 4 wins and 2 losses. That's a 67% win ratio, and that's pretty mediocre when we're comparing it to the average that Dignitas pushes out there. On average, they win 83% of their games. So Genji is an interesting character, and now we have him in a much more played position. He was really banned most of the time in Europe, but towards the end of the European season, he fell off significantly. Now, with the new hero coming in, with Maiev being played, with a priority on the rest that we're seeing here, we have him a lot more in the spotlight. And that's, of course, where players like Snitch and Poik have to really perform.
I do want to highlight how well JPL so far on that Johanna has made sure that Team Liquid does not get the engage they want, using Iron Skin well to make sure the tether doesn't come out. Again, another display there. JPL getting thrown on the side, but able to walk away thanks to the tankiness of that Iron Skin popping in. It's something that you can consider at your home games if you ever have Maiev get through the draft, which is pretty rare. Jet Propulsion comes out, we'll be hitting Eternal and Nurok. Nurok going for Snitch. Snitch trying to stay on the side here, but a little bit too early. Gets popped in, takes some turret shots, and falls victim to Team Liquid.
Yeah, it was a really small mistake by him, but it cost him his life because he was trying to move out just half a second too early, and then he got pulled back in. And that just helped to make sure that they get the extra damage onto him. So the first blood goes to Team Liquid, opening the map up with a kill and looking strong so far here. But as you said, JPL has been doing really well in the situation. Snitch up to that point also very, very annoying. Always poking and prodding the entire time, just trying to work on setting up an opportunity here for himself. Nice camp steal at the bottom. And this is actually on the back of the kill against Snitch. So Liquid, with that 1 kill, immediately trying to get an advantage by claiming the bottom siege camp.
They already had an advantage too, because they had a few gems drop off and Snitch falling victim to them. So now they're ahead here. They're about to have their own turn available. 50 does connect, so Team Liquid, if they go for the drop in now, should be able to get the Well Weavers moving.
And it seems a bit silly, but this 1 kill has already done a lot for Team Liquid. And we oftentimes talked about how a move for the siege giant camp early on turned against the team when they got all of a sudden engaged and lost 1 or 2 heroes. But in this case, it's the 2nd kill against Johanna. Dignitas all of a sudden 0-2 in kills, and Liquid very meticulously starting to edge forward in this game, claiming a half-level lead, starting to turn in here now, interrupted by Junkrat for the moment, for the time being, but overall Liquid doing very well.
Snitch able to save the situation, jumps over the wall and grabs a gem, so at least they still have those available for them. A few gems do get dropped off for Team Liquid, 35. Have a few more available as Sport Billy goes for his own turn in, but Wubby from across the map, it feels like, able to delay just enough there to prevent Team Liquid from dropping off some additional gems.
Yeah, definitely max range here on him. But level 7 for Liquid is going to give them the earlier talent, and that might be just enough to claim that position. But it's really cool how, like, Dignitas is really playing a very dangerous game here as well, because they are in a spot where they are always trying to interrupt, and especially if Snitch gets caught out again, that could be his downfall, so he needs to be careful around his cooldowns, especially the Swift Strike, of course, going to be his most important tool. But there's a lot of interrupt potential for Dignitas, especially around Junkrat. It's one of the reasons why he is so fantastic on the map outside of the wave clear alone that he provides and the displacement.
Yeah, range is definitely their friend here. With the flashlight coming in from Jaina, or Johanna, you have Junkrat dropping in the grenades, you have Malfurion that can poke as well with the Moonfire. As long as they stay from as far away as they can definitely delay for a long time. You even saw it earlier with the Wubby dropping down the flames of fire in the oil as well.
Yeah.
Team Liquid working on pushing here too, though, but that 3 gems right around the corner sneaking up for him.
Oh, Hazops! Oh my god, he actually goes down as Snitch chases him and takes him apart. Now, Wubby is also nearly falling, but...
Ooh!
Yeah, Norog nearly confirmed that kill, but barely Blaze is able to survive.
Wait a minute, is Dig gonna get the first turn in?
They might. They actually might at this point. Splendor is already working on the interrupt here again, and he's able to get that, but he might fall as a result, and that's a big problem. In comes Sport Billy and saves the day for now, but Wubby is all of a sudden a bit isolated here and is far out, but able to move out still. JPL on the other hand with the Iron Skin, trying to move away with the Condemn here now. Splendor with the silence on the ground. No kill yet and no turn-in on the side of Dignitas, but definitely a back-and-forth battle over the turn-in spots.
Yeah, that fight swung 4 times, it felt like, during that entire engage, all based on who gets the fight and goes in for the initial impact. Love Zalia and Wubby working together. Wubby, not spotted by Splinter, almost got the kill there, but with it all said and done at Team Liquid, able to drop off the final gems, and it's time for Web Weavers to push in.
And let's not forget who won the last time on this map when the two faced off against each other. That was actually Team Liquid, and they were played to the wall by their opponent. And it was a pretty impressive series, because from the get-go, Dignitas took control of the map, and then in the end, it was Team Liquid who was able to take it. And it was very well played by them in a very defensive position. So they're going to try and do something very similar here again, this time from a position of strength, though.
Wubby takes some damage here on the south side. Team Liquid converges on the bottom lane, break down the turrets, and start applying a little damage to the fort. Also, still floating on the side, looking to maybe engage here with Snitch going in for a Swift Strike. Aetherno goes for the spear, but barely misses out. Team Dignitas rotates down to try and help defend.
Yeah, and Team Liquid with a level 10 now, they can immediately start to engage, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. The arrow is missing, but that doesn't even matter. Genji is down, and that's 25 gems that Dignitas just lost. This is the exact opposite of how this map looked like the last time the two teams faced off against each other. There's a lot of differences here, not only in the momentum swing, it's also Team Liquid plays so much more aggressive now than they did back then. It was actually Dignitas that drafted the aggressive comp, and Team Liquid with more of a poke composition around Johanna, Arthas, and Chromie from the backline. And now it's the exact opposite. Team Liquid with the aggression and Dignitas more reactive. And another kill! Team Liquid is finding them everywhere.
Get another kill here. Malfurion even using that Twilight Dream. Nobody from Dignitas could follow it up. JPL went for the Condemn, but Snitch wasn't nearby, just respawning. And Team Liquid is now on a spot to go for the dreaded second turn-in. A little bit of a delay here from Wubby on the bottom part, but Team Liquid has a few members to the top that can drop off themselves.
Now, Liquid is in a commanding spot right now. They took a fort down, they already scratched the fort at the top lane, and they have a level lead. They can also go for the second turn-in, and they relieve their opponent of a fair amount of gems. But still, this is still a position where Dignitas can easily come back into it. But if Liquid gets that second turn-in, then all of a sudden things can spiral out of control. More structures down means more experience, and once you have that talent lead, you're in a great spot. And talking about the lead, once again, Snitch in trouble, but dodging the arrow, and then with a Swift Strike, he's able to move out. But that was a close call, and Liquid in the meantime turns it.
I can't believe he got away from there.
Yeah, I mean,
to be completely honest with you.
Especially that he also dodged the arrow.
Yeah, the arrow being dodged out, being able to sidestep, making sure to get land there. Team Liquid goes for the kill, but barely misses out on it. Next kill might be here on the bottom side. Bunker dropped immediately as Wubby is going for the retreat. He has a jet propulsion up if he wants to turn around and force a fight. But Team Dignitas just hanging in there right now with Web Weavers pushing on lanes.
The problem for Dignitas is really that with a second turn-in now, Liquid can go for it. But Hanzo is in trouble, in a lot actually, barely surviving. Snitch, on the other hand, goes in with the Dragon Blade, gets the kill and the double as Splendor falls, and that's the perfect timing for him. Cage comes in, but once more Iron Skin being used by JPL, trying to move out here, and he gets taunted for a second, but there's just not enough damage potential to get that kill confirmed.
Narok trying to escape here.
Oh,
a big
maybe.
JPL's the next target. Iron Skin should be about to be up. Condemn comes out, and JPL survives. Twilight Dream used, but not landing on anything important as Team Liquid still has the top lane pushing in. They're getting a keep wall, but Dignitas starting to fight back.
Yeah, so one fort has fallen and the keep wall also eliminated, but that double kill that Dignitas got prevented the worst. And a lot of this was happening because Team Liquid tried to find the kill against Whoopi at the bot lane. They rotated 2 heroes down, and therefore they were a bit surprised by the attack of Dignitas in the mid lane that went straight for Hanzo, and Hanzo alone just couldn't survive this. So at this point, we have Dignitas starting to claw their way back into it, closing in on level 13 talents, and trying to make sure that they can fight on eye level with Team Liquid.
And they have 2 turn-ins available too, so if they get that first one going in, that's when they get that comeback. Team Liquid doing everything in their power to prevent that from occurring though. Grabbing the Night Camps, getting those pushing in the middle lane, and grouping pretty heavily, looking for these fights. A silence comes out as they try to deal with this Night Aura that's happening, and it looks like Splinter is safe enough to allow for it to happen. So the crew, Team Liquid, push back this middle lane pretty well.
Boss attempt here with Hazops, Eternal and Hazu, Sonya and Hanzo. And that's the 2 that can, of course, chunk this boss down. And with them posturing in the middle, I don't think that Dignitas is even aware that this could happen. But of course, you have 2 heroes that are fantastic for the mercenaries, and they easily claim that boss, while Dignitas is just dumbfounded and saying like, wait a second, what just happened?
That was really sneaky from Team Liquid, but they pull it off between Sonya and
quickly.
Hanzo. Very quickly, dude. That W arrow build coming in, pretty effective. Didn't even have the level 4 there, has the explosive for the wave clear instead. The Thurno comes in, gets a little bit of damage on JPL, but Dignitas full on the defense and trying to slow down Team Liquid.
Yeah, well done, Team Liquid. I mean, what can they actually do with this? Can they go for the keep at the top? They're trying to poke, but the rotation happens into the mid lane, realizing that with the early boss not scaling as strongly just yet, they would probably be better off going into the mid lane and dropping the fort, and that's exactly what they're doing here. Trying to take that away from their opponent, gaining a bit more experience and closing the distance to level 16. The boss at the top lane done some damage to the keep, and so they have an easy pick against it later on in the game.
But Dignitas hold the fort. It gets low, but they hold it here, and they still have that turn-in available. And now that Team Liquid's taken everything off the map that they could go in for, except for the Giants on the south side, Team Dignitas can look to focus on either starting a team fight here, they have a full level before Team Liquid hits that 16, or go for their own turn-in. But they are dancing, because Team Liquid's doing a really good job of evading.
But there's still a lot of gems in the hands of Dignitas, and they lost a fair amount. We talked about this earlier when Snitch fell. He dropped 25, him alone. But now we have 140 for Dignitas. So there's definitely some arguments to be made for them gaining momentum after a turning cascade. The problem still is that Liquid is only half a level away from level 16. And once that drops, it's going to make it indefinitely more complicated for Dignitas to confirm that turn.
Watch the Snitch here as he hops on top of Narok. Narok's able to get away.
Good camp lane, by the way, at the bot lane here. Siege Giants now pushing as well.
16's about to hit. It's actually right around the corner here. Team Dignitas needs to do something now. They're trying to go for a turn-in, but it's also a setup for them to allow Wubby to go in for a fight.
Splendor immediately with the interrupt here. Now they need one more, and then they will have 16. And Sport Billy, he's actually moving in with the rest of them. So they're going for it. And now they have level 16, and the immediate engage is already happening as we see the Iron Skin being popped on Johanna, but tethered back in. Sport Billy a bit low, still looking for an opportunity to maybe get a throw. The arrow comes out, but now Furion with the nature skill.
Great job there. Wubby and crew is still escaping, but it looks like they've gotten home safely. The 16 hits, Team Liquid tries to force a fight and can't quite earn the kill.
But they want the keep, and they're starting to poke here. They have a lot of poke potential in this case.
There's Giants pushing bottom too. So Dignitas has to weigh their options.
And the mid lane is going to be pushed by a double wave, so that's another fort that is about to fall. Hazops is just going to poke here, and eventually they're going to get quite a fair share of minions also coming their way. I'm actually surprised that they're rotating at this point, because their own minion wave just comes in, and it's basically a double wave. If they just eliminate this one, the mid wave would have fallen anyways, but they're starting rotations here.
That certainly did look like a fort they could poke down a little bit, especially with Hanzo dropping a couple of Stormbows that have been fine. Wubby was already showing on the bottom lane. Team Dignitas gets away lucky here. Have to deal with their keep getting dealt with in the top left.
I think Liquid could have pressured the keep a bit more. Of course, they were a bit on a clock, since once 16 hits for Dignitas, Dignitas will be willing to engage into it.
But it's still not here. That would have been like 10
Yeah.
Stormbows?
Not only that, but the minion wave that moves in too. That could have been really successful for them, with Blaze being at the bot lane. But they are just getting their own turn already. They have 48 gems already confirmed. But Dignitas is looking at 170. For Liquid, the ideal scenario would be to take down Poik. He has 54, and to take down JPL.
And Wubby.
And Wubby. The three of them hold basically all the gems that they have. And it's an insane amount. I mean, Wubby alone can confirm a turn.
Yeah. Team Liquid will be looking for that fight pretty soon here. They're dropping off their gems. 4 more going in, 55. They may be priming up ready for a team fight.
It's so close. The Liquid only needs a 6 more, and they're going to get those soon. But there's Wubby. Wubby goes for the turn in, and I do not think... Maybe... Oh my god.
Great poke there from Nurok. Just barely getting the Banshee to walk in. Ooh, nice little stun there from Sport Billy as well, doing anything they can delay, even as sounds coming out.
It's actually impressive that they're still confirming that, but yeah, once again the interrupt, and Wubby must be frustrated at this point. I mean, he's been trying for so long, but every time an interrupt is there. And now we're having enough gems on Team Liquid's side that they can actually confirm it. And Eternal is trying to do exactly that, but Genji is ready.
Snitch delaying just enough here. Zillia and crew running down the bottom side, trying to buy some time. Wubby's getting low. The arrow misses, drops down the bunker for the body block and also to survive. Wubby turns around and drops some oil, harassing a little bit, and a turn-in does go in for Dignitas. Team at Dignitas is trying to force a fight. Here comes the Riptire. Splendor and crew are fine, though, because a tire gets deleted.
Poik was able to confirm the turn-in. And now, of course, the big question, how much is Dignitas going to get out of this one? They are still 1 level behind. Not quite. More half a level. So if they can somehow take these structures down, they can close that gap quite easily. And if they are able to get another turn-in as a result, that would be fantastic. Cage comes down, but again, the Iron Skin.
Victory Potion also. Stukov able to kite away here. Splendor looking to deal with his Web Weavers. Top lane and the bottom lane are pushing in now. Dignitas giving chase here. Snitch goes for a little bit of harassment. Eternal does have a spear available and can turn around at any point. Team Liquid defends the middle wave and will have to work on the top.
Easy defense in the middle. Easy one. Now up the move to the top where Maiev is already in place. But Dignitas can still get some towers out of this, and they are getting structures, and that closes the experience gap quite quickly. So up to the bottom lane, already pressure coming in. Someone will have to react to that. The top lane has been cleared, but the fight is still imminent. And, well, keep in mind, Liquid also can confirm the next turn in here. It depends really who is going to get that first shot at the turn spots.
Junkrat's clearing out that fort in the bottom, which will help out that experience prop. Just a little bit behind Team Liquid. And remember, Dignitas has another turn in here. So Team Liquid, while being aggressive, are also being careful. They can't afford to lose anyone here, or Dignitas will start to open the map.
Liquid is still slightly ahead here, but of course, in terms of structures, they still have a fantastic
Blaze
position.
is top.
Blaze is top, and they are trying to turn in both of them, and Blaze is going to get that turn in. There's nobody interrupting him.
Yeah, JPL in a spot where he was coming down the bottom left. The root comes out as well, and Domino at the right time, but Wubby is able to drop off the gems. A second turn in back-to-back.
That was actually way closer than I thought it would be. That was nearly a successful interrupt that we saw from Team Liquid. But Dignitas gets the second one, and this is the momentum that we've been talking about earlier. It can swing so quickly. If they take a few forts down here, that would be the dream for Dignitas, because it would mean that they are starting to take the experience lead, which would translate into the earlier level 20.
Exactly. One more fort here, and that's where Dignitas gets that lead. So see if they can get a fort off of this turn-in. Team Liquid already setting up for the defense. Middle lane and top lane are a priority. They can deal with the bottom lane later on. Sport Billy goes for a throw. Tosses Johan on the top right, and a sounds comes out, but Iron Skin is already popped, so Stukov's gonna back up.
That also means that JPL has to be careful now. He's still the one holding 54 gems. If he falls while Iron Skin is on cooldown, that would be a disaster for Team Dignitas. Sonya in the mid lane right now, and there's a lot of poke happening, but Dignitas is looking to take the lead in experience here. They are about to drop the fort in the mid lane, and the one at the top, as we are seeing here, is also not looking too healthy either.
Yeah, it looks like it should be an easy fort here, with Genji also poking in the middle. Gotta be careful though, because Garrosh is coming for a flank, looking straight for Genji, as he jumps straight to Malfurion. Zellia will keep him alive as he jumps into his arms. And don't forget, bottom lane still pushing in. A keep wall is under siege.
Exactly. So Dignitas is really starting to not only take the lead in experience, they are also negating the structural advantage that Team Liquid has held up to this point. The top lane still has quite a bit of damage dealt to it, keep on Dignitas' side, but outside of that, the two teams are more or less even. Dignitas is going to hit the earlier level 20, and they are also still in control of 110 gems.
This might not be the most exhilarating game in terms of kills, but in terms of control, this is a masterclass from both of our teams. They are pushing each other to the limit.
And Liquid is losing control up at the top. The turn-in spot has been claimed by Dignitas, and the Web Weavers are pushing in again. Liquid has completely ignored the top turn-in point. There's definitely some miscommunication on their part. They heavily focused on the bottom. The problem is Against Junkrat, you are not able to immediately turn in. You have to wait through his cooldown. And then at the top lane, if nobody interrupts, it's all that Dignitas had to do. So 20 versus 20 at this point, and Dignitas is all of a sudden the team pushing and Team Liquid defending.
And this is 3 turn-ins in a row for Dignitas. They have a 4th available as well if they're not able to get too much off of here. But what they can focus on is breaking down these walls, and they'll do so here in the middle lane. Turret already being destroyed. Opening up the map here will make it much easier for their eventual 4th turn-in to be effective on the keeps. Sonya's dealing with this top lane, so Team Liquid has to be careful because Dignitas can look for a fight. JPL at any point can drop in that Blessed Shield.
Now, it would shock me if Liquid would lose a keep here, since they already have Sonya at the top defending. The mid lane has been defended as well. But it still showcases that Dignitas, you can never count them out. And Liquid, the last time that the two teams faced off against each other, they were the team coming back in the late game and turning it around. And they have to be really careful that it doesn't happen to them in this game.
Dignitas continues to open the map a little bit. Team Liquid also has their own turn-in here, so this is one of the ways that they can stop the momentum that Dignitas has built up for themselves. So they can go for a turn-in right after defending these waves. And speaking of the waves being defended, they just finished it up. So in about 9 seconds, we'll have the turn-in available for both of our teams as the Web Weavers will be opening up the R8s.
And Team Liquid has a double available. That's also an advantage that they have. So, whereas Dignitas is thinking about one turn-in, Team Liquid, if they get the first one confirmed, can follow it up with a second if they do it right. And Sonya's actually turning in at the bottom now, and I think Blaze might be too late to go for the interrupt here. And indeed, he is. So, Team Liquid gets the next objective. From really the control perspective, it has been such an amazing game. Both the teams dancing around each other for so long. Liquid maybe getting pressured a bit towards the level 20 turn-in that we saw, because it did not pay attention to the top turn-in, but now they are starting to shift the momentum in their own favor.
6 turn-in of the game here between our two teams. No keeps have fallen, but there is definitely a candidate in the top lane that could fall for Dignitas. That keep is already down to about half health. Dignitas starts their defense, dropping down a few grenades, while Maev pushes the top lane, getting it set up for Team Liquid to rotate over.
Yeah, Snitch is also waiting at the side here, seeing if Team can maybe start off with a bit of a flank. Bit unlikely, and they have to react to the top. As you said before, the keep is on half health, so they can't just simply let the Web Weaver push. Unless they win a big team fight, that would always turn against them. But it also opens up an opportunity for Liquid to find value in the mid lane.
Dignitas has already started defending this top lane with Genji heading over there alongside Malfurion. We'll be able to clear this up well in the middle. But the bottom lane has now become an issue.
Top lane is nearly down. Top
Wow.
lane is about to go down. That should fall for sure. If I can't believe that they just defended top. If Hanzo just gets 1-2 arrows in, that's about it.
Hanzo is setting up for another play on the boss. Once these Web Weavers get cleaned up, Sonya and Hanzo can do for the second time that we've already seen in this game, go straight for that boss and burn it down. And there they go. Nurok in position to slow down Dignitas in the rotation.
Yeah, and the boss would of course confirm not only the key, but the question is, can they slow them down? Because this time Dignitas knows what's up. They know that there is a chance that the boss is currently being attacked. Wooby is already checking it out, but the thing is, he's too late. Wooby is too late. There's nobody that can claim the boss right now, and this is Liquid getting the top. Now the question is there going to be a kill against Garrosh? If that happens, then maybe Dignitas has a chance here, but the cage comes out, and immediately we're seeing Team Liquid going for the fight. Eternal actually doesn't even care about the fight. He's going straight for the keep. He wants to go for the core. Down goes Malfurion. This is the worst case for Dignitas. This couldn't be any worse for them right now, even if they get the kills. Sonya and the boss are already going for the core.
Hasselhoff was able to escape too. Cinch was chasing him down trying to get the kill, and he was unable to do so. JPL with the Iron Skin trying to stay alive, but Wubby is able to get back home. Can they slow down Eternal? He drops down the slow just to make sure that he moves a little bit slower while Junkrat and crew come back.
JPL, he has 44 gems. There's another turn-in available for Liquid, even if they don't complete the game here. But the boss is still on 60% health, and we also have Infernal going for it. Snitch is about to fall. He needs to be back, and the rest of Liquid is moving in too. Liquid is doing it. They're pulling it off. Game number 1 on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and Liquid has done it again against Dignitas. They take them down on Tomb, just like the last time they faced off against each other.
Is today opposite day? In game number 1 in both of our series, the team that we did not expect to get early wins are grabbing game number 1. Team Liquid able to take it against Dignitas.
I love it. Europe, man.
Shows the
Stacked.
depth. That's right, man.
Yeah.
Team Liquid with decisive shot calling. Control from both teams are able to eke out a victory over Dignitas. The heads-up play to sneak that boss with Hanzo and Sonya was just enough to throw a little bit of a wild card into the plan of Dignitas.
I love the late game call that we saw there, because at that point when the fight happens, Sonya is just like, you know what? you boys do whatever you want. I'm going to end the game right now. And then Malfurion dies as well, and they stop the portals back so that nobody could defend. And the problem is that you don't only stop the portals back. As long as you keep JPL in the fight and he has to run, you also pressure the 44 gems that he holds. And as we said before, once that he loses those gems, there's no turn-in potential for Dignitas. So even if they defend, let's say, 50% core, and Team Liquid gets their second turn, and since they still had enough gems for another one, they are in a position where they can then end through the web weavers.
Yeah.
So pretty awesome situation there. But also, after the first game, we talked about the Zealots waking up. And knowing Whoopi, he probably woke up like 15 minutes ago and then made his way into Voice to play with his team. So
The brand's going to start ticking soon.
I would not call that for Liquid just yet, but they definitely took the first step.
Still love the calls there from Team Liquid, and as you already mentioned, even that boss call doesn't work out, still 90 gems available for Team Liquid. They had a turn-in available, just a really cool heads-up play. And speaking about being heads-up, why don't you guys be heads-up when it comes to information about the HGC? We're continuing to upgrade our website, and we want you to check it out. heroesofthestorm.com/HGC.